Damn it.
Co-Master Xanathos. The old ones were, the old ones are, the old ones forever shall be.
Initiate. Tonight's ritual requires an additional sacrifice. Do you have a roommate?
Hey Kev, what are you doing tonight?
Nothing. What's up? Eldritch Horror is a game by Fantasy Flight set in the H.P. Lovecraft universe. Like other games in this genre, players take on the role of investigators, attempting to gather clues, fight monsters, close portals, gather spells, items, and ultimately attempting to solve 3 mysteries in order to win the game. Now, those who have played Arkham Horror will immediately find this game is very similar. There's a familiar cast of characters in all the investigators, and the gameplay is largely the same. Though we found it was much more streamlined and easier to pick up and jump right in. So we're going to go over a little bit how the game works and then go through a sample turn and then kind of tell you what we think. So to start out with the game, each player is going to choose an investigator. For this example, we're going to be using Leo Anderson, the expedition leader. On each player card, there's going to be an action, and the actions are unique to each investigator, and it's largely why you may choose to play a particular investigator. You have your stamina and your sanity. If either of these drops to 0, the investigator is knocked out and you must choose a new investigator. At the bottom, you have all of your ability scores. These are going to be used to gather clues, pick up items, fight monsters, close portals, basically do all the actions you want to do in the game. On the back, you have your starting equipment and your starting location, as well as a bit of a backstory as to what your character was doing and why they're involved in these investigations. And then over on this side, we have something we really like about it. It's sort of an after story. So should your investigator be knocked out of play, either by losing all their sanity or stamina, you have 2 different stories as to sort of what happened to them after the fact. Another player, another investigator, even a new one your same player brought in, can go to that location and encounter the space where the character fell, pick up their gear, and sort of find out what happened to them, and even make a roll to maybe have something positive come out of losing a character. So once all the investigators are chosen, then it's time to choose the Great Old One. Now the base game comes with 4 of these ancient gods, and they're going to sort of be the protagonists. They're the ones sleeping, and should they ever wake up, they will unleash their wrath upon the world. Each Great Old One comes with 2 different decks, a research deck and a mystery deck. There are 4 mysteries with each Old One, and you have to solve 3 of them, meaning you'll have maybe a little bit different experience, even if you play the same Great Old One, as the mysteries may not end up being the same. And then they have their individual research decks, which is how you pick up your clue tokens. So you're actually doing research on that specific Great Old One, not just generic research for clues, which we think is really great. So for our example, we chose Azathoth. And we're just going to go over this card real quick. It's basically kind of how you set up the game board. So first of all, right here at the top is the Doom track, and it's set to 15 for Azathoth. So we're just going to set it there. The Doom track is basically like a game timer. If the Doom track ever reaches 0, the Great Old One wakes up and unleashes his wrath upon the world. In Azathoth's case, he simply devours everyone and everything, and you automatically lose. With the other ones, there is an opportunity to fight them, though if you have to fight one of the ancient gods, then you've probably already lost, though it is possible to win. So next you have the stats of their cultists, their followers. Each Great Old One has their own unique set of followers. You have some information on game setup, but down at the bottom, you have the setup for the Mythos deck. Now, the Mythos deck is going to be drawn from every game turn, and it has things that move the game forward and throws obstacles in the way of the investigators. Events, rumors, things that stay in play, things that hit once. It's going to spawn monsters, open portals. It's going to basically affect the state of the game. So when you set it up in 3 stages. And this is really important because each stage is going to, in some ways, become progressively more difficult. But there are certain cards that you may only want to encounter in the first stage that you would not want to see in the third, and vice versa. So the stage system is a really excellent addition. The last thing on the card is just some in-game effects that your individual Great Old One will have on the game state. So once your investigators are chosen, your Great Old One is chosen, it is time to jump into the game. So you can see we sort of have a partial game set up here on the board. We'll just kind of go through a bit of a sample turn. The first part is the action phase. Now, each investigator is going to get 2 actions. These can be things like moving, preparing to travel, resting, using your influence to gather items from the reserve, maybe using a spell or an item, or using your action on your character. So Leo Anderson has a number of options here. He can go down to the pyramids where the expedition token is and go on an expedition. That might be, deciphering hieroglyphics, or maybe he has to fight a mummy. But the rewards are usually quite good, usually an artifact or something really nice. He could go to Rome and attempt to close that portal, or even encounter Rome itself. But there is a Gug there, and he would have to fight that Gug if he wanted to encounter that space. His other option is to use one of these prepare to travel tickets. Now, he would have already had to prepare to travel to get these. They come in train variety and boat variety. You can have 2 of them. They can either be 2 boat, 2 train, or 1 of each. But they basically give you an extended movement. So he could use that to go to London, which is what we're going to do. So for my first action, Leo's going to go to Rome. He's going to spend his boat ticket to extend that move out to London. And that's only 1 action. So for a second action, he can do any number of things. We're just going to say he's wounded, so he rests to heal 1 stamina, 1 sanity. No big deal. So now that his action phase is done, play passes to the next player, and so forth until all actions have been completed. Now we enter the encounters phase. So Leo can encounter anything on the London space, London itself, the portal, or the clue token that is sitting there. We're going to have him encounter that clue token. So he draws 1 from the research deck and reads the appropriate city selection. There's also wilderness and sea selection should the clue be in another place. So for the city, scientists report that their sample of radium was stolen. Your investigation indicates a connection to the worshippers of Azathoth. Ooh. Roll observation. If you pass, you discover signs of cult activity. Gain this clue. If you fail, scientists tell you the horrors the thieves might unleash. Lose 1 sanity. So as you can see, there's sort of a pass-fail system. If you successfully roll, the good stuff happens. If you fail, then bad stuff happens. So for this example, we are going to roll Leo's observation, which is 3. So we have 3 6-sided dice. Successes are on a 5 and a 6, so we give that a roll. And we lucked out. We got 1 success, which is all you need to pass. So we would successfully gain that clue, and it goes on our character sheet. Now play would pass to the next player, who will do their encounter, and so on and so forth. After all the encounters are completed, we come to the last and final phase, which is the Mythos phase, at which point we would draw that Mythos card and spawn portals, monsters, and do whatever it says in general. And then play would start all over again with a new round. So what do we think? Well, first of all, we really love this game. We think the strongest points it has are the challenge level, number 1. This is a really difficult game. To be completely honest, we've never won a game, and we've played quite a few. It's just really, really difficult. But part of that is keeps us coming back. We will get so close. It'll come down to 1 roll or 1 turn. We just need to make something happen. They're usually very, very close, and it kind of makes us want to just the game's already set up. Let's just start all over and play again. It's not so much of a negative. Related to that is the flavor. The game, any of these H.P. Lovecraft Universe games are all about the flavor. It's about diving into the world, and sometimes the world's going to get devoured, and those ancient evils are going to awaken and unleash their wrath, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just part of the H.P. Lovecraft universe. So even though you may lose a lot, it is very difficult. The flavor is kind of another reason to come back. Related to the challenge is there is a sliding difficulty, and there's a lot of ways to kind of change up your difficulty. For the most part, the investigators are very, very balanced, but being able to build your party, depending on who you pick, can help you have an easier or more difficult time with the game. Picking your great old one, Azathoth, is suggested as the starting one because he is technically the easiest. That can help you out, or you can pick a more difficult one to raise the challenge. The big one is in the Mythos deck. Now, there are cards in the Mythos deck with a Elder Sign on the side of them. Now, those cards tend to be a little more friendly towards the investigators. So if you're wanting to lower the challenge level, make sure a few of those get randomly mixed in to your Mythos deck. If you want more of a challenge, then you make sure none of those Elder Sign cards get mixed in, and you're definitely in for a rough time. So we love that sliding scale. There are a couple of problems with the game, however. The biggest one is there is some cards that exist in the research decks that cause a solved mystery to be shuffled back into the unsolved deck. Now, we feel like this is a big mistake on Fantasy Flight's part. Games like this, cooperative games, should always, throw obstacles in your way, make you spend resources, stop progress, waste turns. We don't think that taking away progress is really a positive, game mechanic. It's very negative. It's an unfun mechanic. Solving mysteries is not easy. You only need to solve 3 to win the game. And our group has never been able to do that. We've gotten 2 all the time and been so close to that 3rd. But, several games we've had that card come up, and, and the one investigator who has a terrible chance of succeeding, is the one, of course, who gets it. And so we lose a mystery, and it basically causes us to lose the game that turn. Even though the game's going to go on for who knows how many more rounds, losing that mystery basically costs you the game. And we don't think one card should probably ruin your whole chances of winning a game. The other problem is related to that. All the encounter decks for the major locations and the research decks are only 8 cards. For the locations, this isn't as big a problem, though. If you have a couple players, say a couple spellcasters, go down to Buenos Aires attempting to get some great ritual spells, the 2 of them are going to probably go through that Buenos Aires location really quick, and you're going to end up seeing the same encounters, the same flavor, which isn't very, very exciting for, delving into the world. It's even worse for the research deck. Since there's only 8 cards and you need to do the research deck to gain clues, you're going to go through it, 2, maybe 3 times in a game. So you're going to see those cards over and over and over again. And you're probably going to see that card that shuffles your mysteries in at least twice. So you're sort of risking losing the game even more often because you have to see that deck. However, Fantasy Flight is well known for, putting out expansions in rapid succession. So the next one will be out before we know it, I'm sure. And I imagine it will address the problems of decks being too small. So that pretty much wraps it up. We really actually love this game a lot. Even though we always lose, we just want to play it more and more. We've got a lot of hardcore Arkham fans. Arkham is one of the games that sees our table almost more than anything else, and we kind of think we like Eldritch Horror better. It's much more streamlined. It has all the positives that Arkham has, and fewer of the negatives. It plays a little bit quicker. The rules are a little bit easier for new players to pick up, and we think that's a really positive thing. So I guess that wraps it up. I'm Russell D. Jones with D6 Mafia. Thanks for watching.
Unfortunately, the ancient texts were not available for Amazon Prime, so we will hold the ritual in 3 to 5 business days.